Understanding women can feel like trying to solve a labyrinth in the dark. You grasp for a handhold, a thread of logic, only to find your assumptions crumbling, leaving you more confused and isolated than before. You've been told the blueprint is simple. Be nice, provide, solve her problems. So why does this so often lead not to passion, but to a quiet resentment, a chilling distance? You are playing a game you were never taught the rules for, and the constant guesswork is draining your spirit. But what if you've been focusing on the wrong puzzle entirely? What if the entire premise that you must understand her to connect with her is the very wall separating you? The ancient philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche saw this struggle not as a personal failure, but as a profound philosophical crisis of the modern man. He saw that our desperation for a formula, a map to the feminine soul, is a symptom of a deeper sickness, a flight from the very thing that makes life and love worth living. We crave the comfort of certainty, the safety of a decoded universe. But Nietzsche would ask a more terrifying, more liberating question. What if a woman doesn't want to be understood? What if she demands to be experienced, to be confronted, to be lived as a force of nature, not solved like an equation? This is the unsettling paradox that lies at the heart of genuine connection. The longing for a map is the very thing ensuring you will never discover the true territory. So, what is the true territory? And what must a man become to dare step into it? This is not a failure of your effort, but a flaw in your fundamental perception. The hidden problem, as Nietzsche and his intellectual descendant Carl Jung would reveal, is that you are seeking a reflection when you should be preparing for a collision. You approach her not as a sovereign consciousness, but as a mirror, desperate to see a comfortable, affirming image of yourself, the good man, the provider, the fixer. This is not love. It is a spiritual transaction, and she intuitively feels its hollow currency. Jung called this the anima, the unconscious inner feminine dimension of a man's own psyche. She is the chaos of emotion, the depth of intuition, the wildness of creativity that a man, in his quest for rigid order, systematically represses. When you encounter a woman in the external world, you are not meeting a simple individual. You are confronting the living, breathing embodiment of everything you have been taught to disown within yourself. Your confusion, your frustration, your walking on eggshells. This is not about her. It is the internal civil war you refuse to acknowledge, projected onto a convenient external screen. Nietzsche named this cowardice, the societal pressure to be nice, to be safe, to avoid conflict at all costs, has castrated the masculine spirit. You have been conditioned to seek approval, not strength, to seek comfort, not power. And a woman cannot respect a force that seeks to placate her, for in doing so, you insult the very power she possesses. You are trying to tame the storm instead of learning to sail. But this internal war has devastating, unseen consequences that silently poison every interaction you have. What is the true cost of this self-betrayal? And how is it shaping the very fabric of your reality? The cost of this self-betrayal is a quiet, pervasive erosion of your reality. You believe the consequence is merely a strained relationship, but the true damage is far more insidious. It is a neurological and psychological shackling. Every time you bite your tongue to keep the peace, every moment you contort your true opinion into a palatable lie, you are strengthening a neural pathway of self-abdication. Your brain, through what cognitive scientists call Hebb's law, learns that inauthenticity is the path of least resistance to safety. You are quite literally rewiring yourself for weakness. This cultural conditioning creates a man who is functionally invisible. He is a ghost in his own life, his desires muted, his boundaries porous. He mistakes accommodation for kindness and silence for wisdom. But a woman does not interact with a ghost. She feels the chilling void where a man should stand. The passion you crave cannot ignite in this emptiness. It requires the friction of two whole, distinct selves. Your attempts to avoid conflict by erasing yourself have not created harmony, but a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. This void will be filled with her frustration, her contempt, or worse, her profound indifference. You have made yourself a spectator in your own story, wondering why the main character feels so powerless. But this is not the end. This bleak realization is the necessary fuel for a radical rebellion. What is the first, terrifying step out of this self-made prison? The rebellion begins not with a new technique to win her favor, but with a declaration of war against the part of you that seeks it. This is the radical Nietzschean shift. You must stop trying to understand her and start striving to understand yourself. The path to power, and thus to genuine connection, is through a ruthless excavation of your own repressed depths. You must confront the chaos of your own anima, the untamed creativity, the raw emotion, the instinctual drives you've been taught to suppress. This is not a rebellion against women. It is a rebellion for your own soul, to become a man who can stand in his own truth, unapologetically. Embrace what you have been conditioned to fear: tension, disagreement, and the glorious friction of two sovereign wills. A woman of depth does not want a placid lake. She desires an ocean, with tides and storms, and a horizon that challenges her own. Your goal is not to be her mirror, but to be her worthy opponent and most loyal ally. This means speaking your truth even when your voice shakes. It means holding firm to your boundaries as if your soul depends on it, because it does. It means transmuting your need for her approval into a commitment to your own purpose. This is how you become real. This is how you become a force of nature she can actually lean against, not a phantom she must carry. But this transformation leads to one final, ultimate truth, a realization that redefines the very nature of love and power. The ultimate truth, the one that redefines everything, is this: the entire quest was a magnificent delusion. You were never meant to understand a woman, because she is not a static entity to be comprehended. She is a verb, a continuous flowing event, a manifestation of life's fundamental will, what Schopenhauer called the will, and Nietzsche the will to power. She is becoming, not being, and in your desperate attempt to freeze her into a knowable concept, you are committing a profound violence against the very nature of existence. Your true task was never to decode her, but to become a man vast enough, strong enough in your own self-mastery, to provide a sacred space where her boundless complexity can unfold without threatening your own existence. Love, in its highest form, is not a quiet harbor of mutual understanding. It is the tumultuous, awe-inspiring collision of two sovereign universes, each respecting the other's right to remain eternally mysterious. It is the deep, resonant dialogue between two individuals who have conquered their need for the other to be simple. Stop seeking a map to her soul. Instead, pick up the chisel and hammer of self-overcoming and begin sculpting your own. For the man you become in that fiery process is the only offering worthy of the mystery you seek to engage. So, to sum it all up, understanding women isn't about following a set of rules. It's about being genuine, empathetic, and open. It's about communication, respect, and emotional intelligence. If you guys have had any experiences where understanding women has changed your relationships for the better, or even if you have questions, drop them in the comments below. Also, check out another video where we dive into more relationship tips that can help you build stronger connections.